Hello, I'm just wondering who you might be.
Hi, my name is Sandra Devenchuk. I am a second year here at Acadia, and I'm an RA in RoJo.
Alright, I'm just wondering what you think of the strike here so far. It's Tuesday of the second week.
I think it's going on longer than I expected, unfortunately, and I think that students are being put in a really difficult position. I definitely agree with the stance that the ASU has been taking. I think we need to take a very strong pro-student stance, because for students like me who aren't exactly pro-faculty or pro-administration, we're stuck right in the middle, and we need somebody to represent us because we do have a very valid opinion, a very valid position, and I think we have a lot at stake in the strike.
So do you think it was ethical for the faculty to have gone on strike?
I think there are way too many factors to consider to really answer that question, but I think most importantly it's just important to consider the position of students in the strike and what we hold dear, and whether or not it was ethical or not for professors to go on strike. Right now we just need to be proactive about making sure that students don't suffer too much during the strike.
Any last thoughts about the strike in general to whoever might be listening?
I just hope that everybody who has an opinion and who feels strongly about their position on the strike will come out and do that, perhaps on the rally on Thursday. I think that's really important for your voice to be heard. Even posting comments on the blog or on the Facebook groups is super important, because I think anything to have our voice heard is probably just going to speed up the process so we can solve this as soon as possible.
You're an RA here on campus, and I'm just wondering how big of a reduction in actual bodies on campus you've seen in your building. Like how many students aren't here now?
It's definitely been huge. Our hallways are pretty much dead. Usually there's people walking around, and I mean, I live in RoJo, it's usually a pretty quiet res, but now it's almost sad. RAs go on duty and we have nothing to do.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright man, so who might you be?
My name is Miles McNutt. I'm a fourth year English honors student here at Acadia, and for the past week and a half I've been running the ASU strike blog.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of work with that. Where are you getting all your information?
I think, in terms of getting information, I think it comes from a lot of what I have is speculation, because that's all we have to go on a lot of different issues. I've been looking on Facebook, reading blogs, viewing these YouTube videos, going through as much media as possible to be able to get these kind of information. In terms of official information, a lot of that comes through the Acadia Students Union. We have direct lines to the administration, to Alpha on these points, and I've been working very closely with Colin Holt, Kyle Steele, Aaron Benner with the ASU to make sure that programming and academic information get to students as quickly as possible through the blog format.
Why is it important for students to, pay so much attention and to be so active in things?
I think, some people might think that Dale is a little bit overkill, but I think it's about making sure people continue to be aware that, as points happen, as rallies are being held like Thursdays. I'm going to pimp that a lot in this process, I think. What's going to, end up happening is that we're really going to be pushing for students to remain aware so that the issues don't get lost, so that the true purpose of students doesn't get lost, which is why we're trying to get people out to the blog each and every day to, bring new information, new perspectives, to try to broaden the horizons of those students still on campus, and especially those students off campus who have gone home, who we don't fault them for that. We just want to make sure that they're still informed as well about what's going on here at Acadia.
Do you think students' efforts are ultimately going to make a difference?
I think students' efforts have to make a difference. If they don't, what's the point? What's the point of us as students? What's the point of us even being here if our voices aren't going to be heard? That's why the ASU has brought forward this neutral stance, to be able to represent students and to be able to bring that information to them. At this point, we've brought the information, students have made their opinions known, and we haven't seen a change yet. We're definitely going to be working to make sure that both sides don't forget about us, that we're not, the long-forgotten student, that we are an incredibly important part of this university, just as much as faculty or administration, and that we need to assert ourselves in that regard.
Was it ethical for them to go on strike?
Sure. I mean, the question of ethical, there's been judges' decisions for hundreds of years that said, unions are given the ability to strike for that purpose so they can, better their own lives. And I fully respect them for that, and fully respect the intentions that have been put forward, I think, in that sense. What I'm worried about in terms of this situation is that it's not a question of ethics, but it's a question of just making sure that people remember both sides, that the students are being respected here, that Alpha has, that ethical ability to strike, but there's limitations to that. There's certain considerations that you need to take into account. We want to make sure they are taken into account in this issue, that they are being reflected by both sides.
Any last thoughts on the strike?
Well, I guess at first I'd like to thank everyone who's been reading the strike blog and commenting on the strike blog. I know that's been a huge effort for us to get that up there, and it's great to see people using it and a dialogue being created. And I just want to encourage other students, parents, profs, whatever, to continue to encourage that dialogue, that we don't get lost in financial issues or contracts or anything like that, but remember the human impact that's actually being felt in this instance. And our goal is to remind people that Student Impact, 1 p.m. Thursday, right here at the Student Union building, will be a gathering for a rally that'll be about putting students first, making sure that we're not taken for granted. And that might sound like a bit like PR spiel, but I think this is more than about PR. This is about the future of Acadia students and Acadia University. And I think students are a huge part of that, and we need to reflect that.
Thank you so much.